it's very hard to articulate what value I can bring because but I know a lot of people need it because when people find me, they think, "Oh God, where were you 4 months ago? Where were you 3 months ago?" And this was we had a project essentially that required over 450 components. From that, I guess what's it called is the necessity is the mother of invention. Um, we developed a new system which allows us to manufacture many pieces of different sizes and different geometry um, uh, and part weights at one time. And this is great, particularly if you're not from a cheap labor country like Asia. This is a very suitable manufacturing method for the West. So we're Australian. Our labour rates are some of the highest in the world. So we needed to do something where we were making a lot of different pieces all at once. So what we did was we developed a special runner system, very similar but not the same as how a model airplane or model car is made. Um, the difference is those parts have got very thin wall sections. And so overpacking the parts, so filling up the parts too much in one particular space, is is not as high chance as what we've done. Our parts go up to 6 millimeters thick in some areas, and we go down to about 1.5 mil in others. And also our mold, the flow path. And so with that, we developed the family tool system, but we also developed um, a a very low cost prototyping system, injection mold prototyping system. With most products, your product demand is rarely over 20,000 if you've got a new product. If you go higher, it doesn't matter. The tooling is just adjusted according to what you need the life to be. Generally, when you go to a tool maker, they don't offer you a range. They say, this is the tooling cost. We're going to make it out of X material. We're going to make it from P20, H13, or whatever one of the American versions are. And typically they're hard steel. They take considerable time to manufacture and they're very expensive. They also come in a die set, which you have to pay for. And also they've got hot runner systems in them, which just adds to the cost. I would say most of that you don't need for the products that people are making. Whereas what we are doing, we are looking at it more holistically, and we're trying to close that gap between having a product designed by your industrial designer or by us, and then getting it onto the market without having high risk tied up in tooling. Because if the project doesn't work, you're off for a lot of money. Whereas in this system, we strip down the mold completely. We don't have a die set. We have common tooling components that we share among the molds. And so essentially the only thing you're paying for is the block of steel or block of aluminium or steel aluminum, sorry. And so we use generally quite high grades of aluminum, 7075 wrought aluminium, so to make sure it doesn't distort after it still stays pretty stable after machining. And it's also good enough hardness for a mold to last 60,000 shots, depending on your polymer using. Well, um, it depends on where you are in the world, but we believe we're in the vicinity of Asia. Simply the way we're manufacturing it. The more parts you have, the cheaper we get, particularly if they're all in the same polymer family. So we can utilize our family tooling capabilities. Um, I would say compared to a rapid proto tooling business in the US, I would say we're upwards of or more than half the price. Happens a lot.
The
Yes, often I would say 70%, to give a figure, 70% of our tooling would be tooling projects would be cheaper than what you get in Asia. Um, if you've got a very complicated part where there's a lot of undercuts and stuff, that's when China might beat us. But with typically most parts, we would be cheaper. Well, essentially, you can turn a mold around within 3 weeks. Um, is the reason, just because of our system. Typically, if the part design is finished and ready to go, we can turn a mold around in 3 weeks. If you don't have a part design, it probably add another 3 weeks onto it. So we're very quick at turning things around. So we managed to redesign the mud flap and have a prototype mold made within 6 weeks. And that included part design, prototyping, fitment checks, mold design and mold completed, material spec and molded. I'm a third generation business, and it was started by my grandfather was a toolmaker. My father was a toolmaker. My brothers are toolmakers, um, and I've been working injection molding for over 20 years. I started my first time on a molding machine when I was 8 years old, and it's the only job I've ever had. I've gone through every single process from being a machine operator to quality to process improvement and lean manufacturing to product design. And given our experience on our shop floor, we have tool makers with 40 years experience who've been my mentors. We have injection molder troubleshooters on the shop floor with 40 years experience, and that combined with the team, we've almost seen every potential mistake be made, and we've also resolved and have plenty of solutions for those for issues that come up in injection molding. So often when we find mistakes, it's because the people who have designed them aren't, it's not their expertise and they don't have the experience. Whereas what we do is we're purely injection molders and product design for injection molding. We've got an automotive background working with Toyota. That goes back to decades, and that expertise is still here. That experience is second to none. We have experience in automotive parts. We have experience in packaging. We have experiences everything in between: thin wall, thick wall, engineering polymers, the lot. We're been a very diverse company. One, we have our communication is we speak English. We're very experienced in what we do. And our communication is just, when I say communication, not just verbally, but also we're giving regular updates. We'll be very honest with you about the project, and from the start to the finish. So if you do give us a project and we think it is fraught with issues, we will tell you. We won't even attempt it because we don't want you wasting your money. What we will do is we might bring you back a couple of paces from where you were to make sure that the part that we are going to be successful. And that often happens. We'll get a part which is from the customer's perspective, they thought they were ready. They thought they were ready for manufacturing, and we've had to say, no, we need to bring it back a bit, and be very reasonably priced to get them back. We don't want to sting them. Get the part right. Somebody who was dictating the properties of the part, who was unsure of what they really needed for the product. They were over engineering, over specing something and making something far more complicated than it needed to be. So that's when we come back to it. when you come to us and where you're asking about, we'll ask you, what does the product do? How is it going to be used? We can do FEA studies on it if it's taking some loads or anything like that to make sure that it's not going to break on use, and it should hold up for what you want it to do. So often, and this does happen a lot. So particularly, it can happen in it happens both in the US and in China, where somebody has gone to a molder to have something made, and then they've found out their mold has a lien on it and is owned by the molder. And a very scary situation to be in. So where we can help there is, as long as you have the product, we can reverse engineer it. We can do a part scan. We can convert those part scans into workable manufacturing data into step files or part files that we can work on and build them all around. And then we can help you get back into production. No, well, it depends on it really does depend on the product, but I would say majority of the products we can get them turned around in about a month. We have injection molder troubleshooters on the shop floor with 40 years experience, and that combined with the team, we've almost seen every potential mistake be made, and we've also resolved and have plenty of solutions for those for issues that come up in injection molding. So often when we find mistakes, it's because the people who have designed them it's not their expertise and they don't have the experience. Whereas what we do is we're purely injection molders and product designed for injection molding. That experience is second to none. We have experience in automotive parts. We have experience in packaging. We have experiences everything in between: thin wall, thick wall, engineering polymers, the lot. Been a very diverse company, and we're yet, touch wood, to have any issues with any of our molds we've ever made. It's very hard to articulate what value I can bring because but I know a lot of people need it, because when people find me, they think, "Oh God, where were you 4 months ago?"